waterfall inspiration. Why is this an important video to watch? Because most ponds today have a waterfall on it. Whether you're going to build it yourself or you're going to have someone build it for you, everyone wants a waterfall. So much so that it's popular today to have pondless waterfalls. People just want to have the sights, the sounds, the experience of what they get in nature. So how do you get inspired? Not by watching some gardener stack 5 or 6 pieces of flagstone, shove a hose in the back of it and call it a waterfall. Come on, boring. The best way is to get out into nature. Go take a hike, find a local waterfall, stream, little creek, or on vacation. When you do that, you'll be inspired. This is in Parque Nacional in Uruapan, Michoacan, Mexico. Let's see what we saw here. When you enter the park, you go through a series of walkways. Little streams, little rivulets are carved right in alongside. What's interesting about this place, if you ever get a chance to visit here in Mexico, is the water all comes from a single source. It's actually the beginning of the Cupatitzio River, Barranca de la Cupatitzio. Most of the water features, like you see here, are gravity fed. It's not pumps that are feeding the water. When originally built, they would channel water through various areas along walkways like you see, and then into little upper hidden pools that charged. This little fountain you see here doesn't use a pump. It's gravity coming down and then forcing the water back up. Ingenious. When you visit this park, the Cupatitzio River Gorge, you get to travel all along it, both sides in fact, and it's beautiful in that the variety of waterfalls that you will encounter here. So much of it is natural, so much of it is man-made, so you get to compare the two different styles and techniques. When this was originally made, it was private property. It was for the homeowner or the property owner. But this waterfall here, it's really strong, it's rushing, and it has a beautiful sound to it. It's really inspiring.
Now that's a waterfall. Awesome.
Now if you're going to build a waterfall, it's not always just about the big rushing drop of a waterfall. You don't need Niagara Falls. Sometimes, using that same waterfall height, most often, we've designed in waterfalls. I've built waterfalls 18, 24, 36 inches most of the time. It's not so much the height, it's how much visuals. So when you're building a waterfall, maybe set it back from the edge. 5, 10, 15 feet, and you're creating like a stretch of stream in between. You can twist that. You can add different types of rocks. You can have a calm spot. You can have some rapids. All of them create different notes or sounds. When you do this, you take that waterfall on the edge of the pond, trying to mimic Niagara Falls, which can be beautiful and sound great, but adding in that stretch of stream in between, now that is pumping up the wow factor. You can really use your imagination, ingenuity, and with a little extra effort, you have an awesome water feature. So you've decided you want to add this waterfall. You're now out and you're experiencing, just like here in Parque Nacional, Barranca del Cupatitzio in Uruapan, Michoacan, Mexico. A lot of the water is springs coming out of the side of the gorge, out of the mountain, such as in this example. So they built up, man-made, the pool at the bottom to collect it, but this is a completely natural waterfall. All the tiny rivulets splitting, dropping, crossing over each other. That's an amazing looking waterfall. If you can copy that on your own pond, that's cool. Another example you see here of the water coming out of the mountain, these little springs, and it's being directed, channeled, and then it gets moved through the park to another area. And so it's about a 2-hour really walk through this park, and you see so many different types of natural and man-made water features. Really inspiring. As we move up here, one of the reasons that this is famous here in Mexico is that the source of the Cupatitzio River, originally the Tarascan people, they settled here, and it was a very fertile area because of this. They were able to grow lots, they provided lots. But at one point back in around 1530, the water started to dry up. In fact, they went kind of sulfuric, and sulfuric gases, everything turned yellow in the valley, and they were worried that their source of livelihood was leaving. They really thought it was something from the demon world. Well, what would they do? They decided to call in the local Spanish friar, who was Juan de San Miguel. So he came down and he came up with this idea that he's going to sprinkle holy water in this area. And from that came the name of this place, which is Rodilla del Diablo.
Let's go see Diablo. As we head higher and higher, we get to the source, but there's many of these springs that issue out of the side of the mountain that all of this was created from.
If you've ever been to Mexico, you realize you cannot visit a national park without local food being introduced. Yes, those are deep-fried bats, but you can have them with the local type of empanada. Moving up the river, we see a great example here of a waterfall into a pond. Now, your pond won't be that big, your waterfall won't be that tall, but it gives you a good idea. The legend of the Cupatitzio River, Rodil del Diablo, or Neo the Devil as its source, it says that the friar, after pondering and deciding to sprinkle holy water upon this now barren and sulfuric area, when he did so, a loud hissing and roaring noise came from out the rocks. At that moment, the devil himself leapt out. He tripped, he fell, and his knee left an imprint in the rocks, which you can see today and is the source of the river. When you get to travel in a park like this that's dedicated to water, waterfalls, ponds and pools, you really get lots of inspiration. I hope that the video itself has shown you different ideas and things that you can do to copy what you see in nature and be able to create your own awesome wow factor waterfall on your pond at home.